Now that we are a month away from the 20th presidential election, let's look into the campaign pledges of each presidential candidate. What is a pledge? The dictionary defines it as government, political parties, candidates making a promise to the public that they carry out certain reforms. In other words, when politicians run for an office, they promise to bring about changes to make people's lives better if they are elected. Given that voters cast ballots for a candidate who has the most attractive pledge, provided the magnitude of the campaign pledges in elections, politicians work with scrutiny to come up with the most appealing promises so that they have an upper hand on the election day. The campaign pledges are designed differently by each candidate. For example, some politicians choose to come up with their own promises, while some nominees communicate with the public about what they want and need, or get help from the experts. The pledges of the 20th presidential election candidates. All the presidential candidates have begun to officially declare their ambitions. Lee Jae-myung of the Democratic Party of Korea, Yoon Suk-yeol of the People's Power, Sim Sang-young of the Justice Party, and Ahn Cheol-soo of the People's Party for the nearing 20th presidential election. First, let's look into the real estate pledge. All candidates insist on providing more public housing by the government. The presidential nominees, Lee Jae-myung and Sim Sang-young, for example, promised that they would provide public housing to the young people if they were to be elected. Another presidential nominee, Yoon Suk-yeol, pledged to abolish the comprehensive real estate holding tax, which is imposed on real estate. As for the employment, a presidential candidate, Lee Jae-myung, pledged to prioritize applicants from the location of the said regional government public office. Candidate Yoon Suk-yeol promised to provide more government support for new businesses. For the pledge for the youth, candidate Ahn Cheol-soo promised to give 10 million won as social advancement support to those discharged from the military. The other nominees, such as Lee Jae-myung, Ahn Cheol-soo, and Sim Sang-young, promised to institute a volunteer military system. Yoon Suk-yeol, the presidential candidate, pledged to increase the salary of the soldiers to 2 million won. In terms of education, all candidates promised to increase the room for regular admission. Candidates Lee Jae-myung and Ahn Cheol-soo pledged to revive the bar exam. In case of monetary support, candidate Lee Jae-myung promised basic income and announced to give a certain amount of money to the youth every month. Candidate Sim Sang-young promised to pay 30 million South Korean wons to people below 20 as a basic wealth policy for the youth. Those aged 21 to 29 who do not benefit from the policy will receive 3 million South Korean wons every year. How do they keep their pledge? Once elected, the president establishes the 100 government tasks with the experts. The 100 government tasks are tasks based on the pledge of the president. Based on such tasks, the government makes a plan for 5 years, and a report is announced every year to check whether the government tasks are being operated or not. However, not all pledges are kept. Sometimes, a pledge is not realized because it requires too much spending or other factors. Not keeping the pledge is not against the law. A candidate may be criticized but not punished.